I've been dreading this moment for a couple of years now, and it seems we've arrived. I knew the great run the smartphone industry was on was never going to get exponentially better, but we've hit an inflection point and my worrying prediction has started to realise itself. Smartphone hardware innovation between 2016 and 2021 or 22 was really flying. You kind of had a reason to upgrade every single year due to new features coming in or existing ones improving at such a rapid rate. Maybe the perfect example of this was the Huawei P30 Pro that many, including myself, really love. Not only did it bring stellar battery life, charging tech and a rear panel design that still holds up phenomenally over half a decade later, but its camera stack was something astounding and still does a brilliant job to this day. No phone does the inverse, perhaps like the big three this year: the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, and Samsung's latest Galaxy S25 Ultra. These phones all marginally iterate on the already fantastic handsets that came before them, but add in software wow factors that really help shift units. Google included AdMe, Pixel Studio and Pixel Screenshots for the first time with this phone this year, and it almost tried to cover up the outdated performance hardware. Apple is still adding to its assortment of AI features over 6 months after the 16 Pro Max's launch, and the Samsung S25 Ultra, while still a remarkable phone, and you should definitely go and check out my review on Android Police by the way, is marginally better than what came before it, but now with One UI 7 and a new set of camera features that use near enough identical hardware to last year's phone. By the way, it'd be great if you could like and subscribe. Cheers guys. Now, that isn't to say that software innovation cannot be absolutely game changing. We all remember what the original Pixel did for Android, and updates from TouchWiz to Samsung Experience to One UI show how good Samsung's phones can be when they nail the software to go along with the hardware. But my fear that we'd see companies compensate for the lack of hardware improvement, almost papering over these cracks with gimmicky AI features, has come to the big three this year. You almost think, could this not have come in a software update? Like, why should I need to spend 4 figures to have this stuff in my phone? I feel like my previous phone was always capable of this stuff. The Galaxy S23 Ultra and S25 Ultra comparison is maybe one of my absolute favourites, as it highlights you can just go out and buy a $500 second-hand device that does 90% of what the brand new cutting-edge $1,300 flagship does, but for less than half the price. I'm not saying there isn't some value in having the newest model, but in my opinion there's just nowhere near enough to justify the upgrade. The 23 is super fast, has the same main camera sensor, same battery size, has the S Pen, but with Bluetooth in that one where this one just does not have that. It still has DeX, it still sports an enormous and gorgeous display, it still shoots 8K 30p video, has a 10 times optical periscope zoom camera, it charges at the same rate over a cable. And this might be a personal preference thing, but I also think that the S23 Ultra just feels a bit nicer than the squared off S25 Ultra. And since this generation was Snapdragon across the regions, you won't be getting a worse deal if you live in certain countries where ordinarily you might be lumped with the Exynos chip. Not very good. The S23 Ultra to S25 Ultra is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. The former is also a fantastic used phone by the way, I've made a couple of videos on it at this point. I won't bang on once again about Chinese hardware being the best there is because I've made enough content on that already. The crazy cameras, super fast charging, huge silicon carbide batteries, all of which appreciably add to the user experience. This is the sort of stuff that a lot of us enthusiasts look forward to, and it's just not there in the Western phones. But the thing is, I believe that the general public simply does not care about any of these things. Especially not enough for the manufacturers to justify investing millions, if not billions, into designing, making and implementing these things into the smartphones that Beth, age 26, Michael, age 47, or Elliot, age 63, would never know even existed in their phones. No, they're far better off adding a tool that lets you sketch and then turns it into a cartoon, or the ability to capture an extra person in a selfie. I've never heard anyone outside of the smartphone enthusiast group say that their phone needed a bigger camera sensor for that better low light performance, or that they absolutely needed bigger batteries, because whether we like it or not, smartphones have become incredibly good across all price ranges. It's very hard to buy a bad brand new phone right now. After spending a good amount of time with the big three, I've come away with 2 main sets of thoughts. One is that these phones are all absolutely phenomenal. They do all the basics great and at the same time are available in carrier shops across the West, making them accessible to the general public not only from a purchasing perspective, but also just to let you go and try one out, test drive it, see what it's all about. They're complete with good hardware, great software to offer good user experiences that should last a few years, because who is buying a 4-figure phone every year? The second thought is that none of them have wowed me. Like, if I'd have walked into a shop and tried them out, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, the S25 Ultra, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I wouldn't be buying any of them. I wouldn't be walking out that shop with a brand new phone, whether that be because of the price, the fact that they're just not a big upgrade over maybe 2 generations of phones now. None of the big three make me go, yeah, I gotta have that upgrade. And that's a real shame, though I'm sure my bank account thinks the complete opposite way. It actually got me thinking, what's the oldest or minimum possible smartphone that an average person could get away with running as their main smartphone, their only device? Let me know in the comments, firstly, which device you would pick, and if you're interested in that kind of experiment, because I might try that one out. On a little less extreme, a great example I could give in my thought process I had with the S24 Ultra, the S25 Ultra, the 15 Pro Max, 16 Pro Max, Pixel 8 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro, and even the OnePlus 13. I have had all of those in my possession over the past year or so, and yet I still use the OnePlus 12 because nothing stands out as a major upgrade over a B-tier flagship from last year. So, yeah. These two phones are not only leagues apart in many areas, but critically are the mascots for two opposing eras in the smartphone innovation story. One was a marvel in engineering and stood out from the crowd not only with its absolutely stunning colour palette, but with its unique hardware feature set in areas that actually matter. A phone that took the leap and offered camera hardware we'd never experienced before in a high-end Western-focused device. And this, in almost every conceivable metric, is objectively better, which should be the case, it's 6 years newer. But aside from the S Pen and DeX, which you might have found in phones up to 5 or 6 years old at this point, it does very little to put itself above in terms of hardware. A phone that doesn't dare to dream or inspire, but instead provides the masses with a high-end option that has a built-in stylus. I'm by no means saying that the Pixel 9 Pro XL, 16 Pro Max or S25 Ultra are bad phones, because that's just simply not the case. They are 3 of the best phones you can buy right now, but they aren't that because of their illustrious and inventive hardware innovations, the ones that their predecessors brought years ago to truly shake up the market. No, they're 3 of the best largely because of their software that's not been properly matched by anything coming out of China. And that does count for something. I truly hope we see hardware innovations coming out of China make their way into the iPhones, Galaxies and Pixels that a lot of the West are buying. But unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.